You know the phrase, I think it's practically the workplace national anthem at this point. I just want to keep my head down, do my job, and stay out of the drama.
Oh, yeah. The classic mantra. Everyone says it.
It sounds so noble, right? It feels like you're taking the moral high ground. You tell yourself, I'm here to work, not to play games. I'm above it all.
Hmm.
But the research we're looking at today suggests that this mindset, this idea that you can just opt out of office politics, is actually incredibly dangerous.
It's not just dangerous, it's usually the fastest way to completely stall a promising career. The source material for this deep dive is fascinating because it just dismantles that idea that technical skill is enough.
Right.
It argues that if you think politics is not your business, you're basically volunteering to be a victim.
Wow. That's a harsh way to start, but I get it. So today we're doing a deep dive into the mechanics of office politics. And, I want to be clear, we're not here to teach you how to be Machiavelli.
No, definitely not. We are not teaching you how to push people down the stairs.
We're here to look at the structures. We've got some really specific models to cover, a power triangle, a circle of influence, and a car analogy that I think perfectly explains why really talented people sometimes fail to get promoted.
The car analogy is the one that really clicks for people. It completely changes how they see their own skill set.
But before we get there, we have to fix the definition. Because when most people hear office politics, they have this, visceral reaction.
Right, they think of gossip at the water cooler, someone taking credit for your work.
Exactly, just general toxicity. But the source defines politics much more neutrally. It's simply the set of activities associated with making decisions in groups, distributing resources, and negotiating power.
So if you strip away all the emotion, politics is it's just how things get done. It's the friction of people trying to share limited resources.
Like a budget.
A budget, a timeline, you have three different departments that all want priority. That collision, that's politics.
It sounds almost biological.
It is. I mean, as long as you have a hierarchy and humans with different ambitions, you have politics. You can't escape it.
So saying I hate politics is a bit like saying I hate the weather.
Exactly. It's going to rain whether you like it or not.
You can get wet, or you can bring an umbrella.
And the source makes this great point about subjectivity. You can have two people working in the exact same department. Person A says, this place is a snake pit, it's cutthroat. Person B says, I don't know what you mean, it's a meritocracy here.
How is that even possible? Are they looking at two different companies?
No, they're looking at the same reality, but through different lenses of influence. Person B probably understands how to navigate the relationships, so to them, the system works.
And person A is probably isolated.
Exactly. So to them, every decision feels arbitrary or totally unfair.
That leads us to the distinction the source makes between bad politics and good politics, which, for a lot of our listeners, I think good politics sounds like a complete oxymoron.
It does feel contradictory, but we all know bad politics. That's the zero-sum game. I win, you lose.
Backstabbing, gatekeeping information.
Bullying. It's when influence is used to manipulate others for personal gain at their expense. That's the line.
Okay, so what does good politics look like then?
Good politics is relationship building. It's networking. It's making sure that the key decision makers actually understand the value of your work. The source is very explicit here. Good leaders practice politics. They have to.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. Let's say you need the IT department to prioritize your support ticket over 50 others because you have a huge deadline. If you use your relationship with the IT manager, a relationship you built over coffee 6 months ago, to make that happen.
It's a politics.
That's politics. But is it evil? No. You're just greasing the wheels to get your job done. As long as you aren't sabotaging somebody else, you're just being effective.
That's so interesting. We tend to view working hard as the only virtue. But if you work hard in a vacuum and nobody knows, and you don't have the alliances to get your project approved, have you actually been effective?
Yeah. That is the trap. You can be the hardest worker in the room, but if you have zero political capital, you're powerless.
And speaking of power,
Yeah.
the source breaks this down into a framework. They call it the three components of the political landscape.
Right, the triangle.
Yeah.
Imagine a triangle. The three corners are authority, culture, and politics.
Okay, let's walk through those. Authority is the obvious one.
Authority is the formal stuff, the org chart. Who hires, who fires, who signs the checks. It's the do this because I'm the boss kind of power.
Got it.
Then you've got culture. These are the emergent norms. How do things actually get done around here? Is it a culture of fear collaboration.
And that's usually set from the top, right?
Mostly, yeah, but it takes on a life of its own.
Yeah.
And the third corner is politics, the negotiation of power, influence, persuasion.
Okay.
Now, the source uses this triangle as a diagnostic tool. They talk about the red triangle versus the blue triangle.
This is a great visual. What does a red triangle look like?
A red triangle organization relies almost entirely on authority. So picture a sharp spike in that corner, but very low scores on culture and politics.
So do what I say or you're fired.
Basically a dictatorship. It's rigid, fear-based. Innovation usually dies in those places because no one dares to challenge the authority.
I think we all know what that feels like.
Yeah.
So what's the blue triangle?
That's the ideal. It relies less on formal authority and much more on a strong culture and positive politics. People follow the leader not because they're scared, but because the culture aligns with their values and the relationship, the politics are healthy.
And I imagine most companies are somewhere in the middle of red and blue.
Oh, for sure. But it's a good exercise for you, listening right now. If you had to rate your own organization 1 to 10 for authority, culture, and politics, where do the points lie? If you're scoring a 9 on authority and a 2 on culture, you're in a pretty vulnerable spot.
And if you're in that red zone, the keep your head down strategy is even riskier, isn't it?
Oh, much riskier. In an authoritarian regime, if you aren't seen as valuable to the person at the top, you're just expendable.
Right. So let's pivot to where you fit in. We talked about organizational power, but what about personal power? The source lists a few sources of power that go beyond just your job title.
The first one they mention is positional authority, which is the title. But they have a specific tip about this. It's the difference between doing the job and having the name.
What do you mean?
It's a common scenario. You're a finance manager, but you're effectively doing the work of a CFO. You're making strategic decisions, you're leading the whole team. The source argues you need to fight for that title.
Why? Is it just an ego thing?
No, it's signaling. Externally, a CFO carries more weight than a manager. It gets you into different rooms, different conversations. Titles are a shorthand for power. If you do the work, you need the badge.
Okay, but what if you can't get the title yet?
Then you have to look at the other sources of power. And one that people constantly underestimate is location and access.
There was a quote in the notes I loved. Heat is always close to the fire.
It's a great line, isn't it? It means physical proximity to power is power. If the CEO sits in New York and you're in a satellite office in Omaha, you are at a political disadvantage.
Just because you aren't running into them at the coffee machine.
It sounds so trivial, but yes, humans are biased toward what they can see. If you're out of sight, out of mind, you're less likely to be thought of for that new project or the big promotion.
So if you're remote, you have to really overcompensate.
You have to overcompensate with communication to bridge that physical gap, for sure.
Okay. What about information control?
This is the gatekeeper power. Think of a controller in a finance department. They might not be the CEO, but they hold the data. They know where the bodies are buried.
Or an executive assistant who controls the calendar.
Exactly. That information is leverage. If people need to know what you have power.
And the last one, which I think is the most accessible to everyone, relationships.
This is the bedrock. And I want to clarify, the source isn't talking about being best friends with everyone. It's about reciprocity.
Reciprocity.
It's the idea of political capital. Imagine a bank account. Every time you help someone on a cross-functional team or you solve a problem that wasn't technically your job.
You're making a deposit.
You're making a deposit, you're building up credit. So later, when you need a favor or you need support for your own idea, you have capital to spend.
And the person who says, I just do my job and go home,
has a bank balance of 0. So when they hit a snag, no one is lined up to help them out.
That's a really clear way to put it. Isolation creates fragility.
It really does.
Okay, so we got the layout of the land where we know where power comes from. But now we have to deal with the actual people. Because even if you have political capital, you're still going to run into what the source calls the villains of the office.
The antagonists. Every story needs them.
But before we get to the villains, there's a mental model the source suggests for just preserving your sanity. The circle of influence.
Yes. This is crucial. If you don't use this, office politics will burn you out in a year, flat. The idea is to divide your problems into 3 buckets.
Bucket 1.
The circle of control. These are things you have 100% agency over. Your work ethic, the quality of your emails, your own mood.
Okay. Bucket 2.
Circle of influence. Things you can sway but you can't dictate. This might be your boss's opinion of a project or the morale of your team. You can push, you can persuade, but you don't hold the steering wheel.
Yeah, bucket 3.
The circle of concern. These are the things that keep you up at night, but you have zero ability to change them.
The source used world hunger as an extreme example.
Right. You can be concerned about it, but you can't solve it. In a corporate context, this is usually stuff like the company might get acquired or the CEO just pivoted the entire strategy.
Things you just have to react to.
Exactly. And the source argues that most people waste a massive amount of emotional energy in that circle of concern, complain about upper management or the market.
And the goal is to shift that energy.
The goal is to ignore the circle of concern entirely. If you can't change it, drop it. Focus all your energy on expanding your circle of influence.
So instead of complaining that the company is cutting budgets, which you can't control, you focus on how to make your department more efficient, which you can influence.
Precisely. That shift is how you move from being a victim to being a player.
Okay, let's apply that mindset to the villains. The source breaks down a few archetypes. Let's start with the one that drives me crazy, the flatterer, the yes man.
The minions. We all know them. They laugh a little too hard at the boss's joke.
It feels so cheap. How does that actually work?
Well, it works briefly. But the advice here is counterintuitive. Do not compete with them.
Just let them win.
It isn't really winning. It's a short-term survival tactic. The source says flatterers rarely last long because they don't bring real value. If you try to out-flatter a flatterer, you just look desperate. The strategy is indifference, their noise, ignore them.
Okay, what about something harder to ignore? The obnoxious boss, the yeller.
This is a tough one. The strategy here is what they call non-reciprocity.
Meaning don't yell back.
Meaning don't enter their emotional state. If they're up here screaming and chaotic and you meet them there, you lose. You have to be the rock. You accept that you can't fix their personality. That's in your circle of concern. But you can control your reaction.
It's the old saying, don't wrestle with a pig. You both get dirty and the pig likes it.
It is exactly that. Keep the conversation on facts, on data, on deliverables. Bore them with professionalism.
Okay, let's talk about the bully. This feels a little different than just an obnoxious boss. This is someone actively trying to intimidate you.
And the source offers a really powerful reframe for the bully. Usually we see them as strong and we feel fear. The source argues that workplace bullying is almost always a symptom of deep insecurity or jealousy.
So they're attacking you because they feel threatened by you.
Often, yes. And if you can view the bully as a frightened person instead of a powerful monster, it changes your entire demeanor. You stop acting like a victim.
And the advice is to maintain absolute self-confidence.
Don't shrink. Focus on the work. If they make a snide personal remark, you ignore it completely and say, so, regarding the Q3 data, you deny them the reaction they want.
Starve the fire of oxygen.
Exactly.
One more villain, and this one is so common, the credit stealer. The high taker.
The person who always says I when they should be saying we.
How do you handle that without looking petty? You can't just jump up in a meeting and yell, hey, I did that.
No, that looks terrible. The defense against the credit stealer has to be preemptive. You have to bake your signature into the cake before it's served.
How do you mean?
Visibility during the process. Don't wait until the final presentation. You CC stakeholders on updates. You speak up in the early planning meetings. You send the summaries. If you create a clear paper trail of your contribution, it becomes very, very difficult for someone to swoop in at the end and claim it was all them.
That's smart. It's transparency as a defensive weapon.
And it helps the organization too, so it's not just self-serving.
I want to move to what I think is the highlight of all this material. We've talked about villains and power structures, but this analogy about the car really brought it all together for me.
The car analogy. Yeah, it's a fantastic way to diagnose why your career might be stalled.
Okay, walk us through it. We're on a road trip.
So imagine your career is a journey. To go anywhere, you need a car. In this analogy, the car represents your hard skills.
So, if I'm an accountant, the car is my ability to audit, my Excel skills, my CPA license.
Right. If the car has no engine, you're not going anywhere. You can't fake competence. But, and this is the big but, having a Ferrari doesn't guarantee you reach your destination safely.
Because you need a driver.
You need driving skills.
Yeah.
And these are your soft skills. Emotional intelligence, communication, negotiation, leadership.
And we all know someone who has a Ferrari engine, brilliant coder, genius analyst, but they're a terrible driver. They crash into people in meetings, they run red lights on social norms.
The classic brilliant jerk. They usually get stuck in middle management because no one trusts them with a bigger team. Great car, but they keep putting it in the ditch.
But there's a third element, isn't there? The road.
The highway. The highway is the organization itself. the company culture.
I love this part because it takes some of the blame off the individual.
It does. You could be a Formula One driver in a brand new Ferrari, but if the road is full of potholes and covered in ice, meaning a toxic, dysfunctional company culture, you're going to crash. You're not going to win the race.
That's so powerful because I think a lot of people burn themselves out trying to be better drivers or upgrade their car when the reality is they're just on a bad road.
And the only solution for a bad road is to take an exit ramp. You have to choose your highway carefully. Success requires all three: competence, the car; EQ, the driver; and environment, the road.
So if you're frustrated at work, use that as a diagnostic. Is it my skills? Is it my behavior? Or is it the company?
Exactly. It clarifies the problem instantly.
This leads us to the final concept, which is about self-awareness. Because the problem with being a bad driver is that you usually don't know you're a bad driver.
That is the blind spot. The source introduces the Johari window.
Which sounds like a spell from a fantasy novel.
It does. It's a psychological tool from the 50s. Imagine a window with 4 panes. Pane 1 is the open self. Things I know about me, and you know about me. Pane 2 is the hidden self. Things I know, but I hide from you.
Yep.
Pane 3 is the unknown self. Things nobody knows yet. But pane 4, that's the danger zone.
The blind self.
The blind self. Things you know about me, but I don't know about myself.
The piece of spinach in your teeth.
Or the fact that you interrupt people constantly.
Oh.
Or that your tone in emails sounds aggressive. Everyone else sees it. They talk about it. But you're completely oblivious.
And the source points out a specific trap here for technical professionals, engineers, finance people.
The technical trap. These professionals often think that if they aren't getting promoted, it must be because their car isn't fast enough. So they go get another certification, an MBA. They learn another coding language.
They just keep polishing the car.
They polish the car obsessively. But the real reason they aren't getting promoted is a blind spot in their driving skills. They're abrasive or they don't share information. But because they have this blind spot, they just double down on the wrong thing.
That's actually tragic. Working harder and harder on the wrong variable.
And the source has a killer line here. Thinking you have no blind spots is itself a blind spot.
That stops you in your tracks.
It means if you aren't actively asking for feedback, uncomfortable feedback, you are definitely missing something critical.
So bringing this all together, we've gone from defining politics not as evil, but as just resource distribution. We've looked at the power triangle, strategies for villains, and the importance of being a good driver, not just having a fast car.
It really is a comprehensive shift in mindset.
If we had to boil this down to a single mission statement for the listener, what is it?
Stop being a spectator. The source is so clear on this. Indifference leads to victimhood. You can't opt out of the game because the game is being played with your resources and your career, whether you roll the dice or not.
So don't be a manipulator, but be a player.
Be an active player. Use influence ethically. Build the relationships so that when you have a great idea, it actually sees the light of day. That isn't politics in the bad sense. That's just leadership.
So listeners, here is your takeaway. Stop trying to hide under your desk. The politics will find you. You might as well learn the rules so you can ensure the outcome is fair.
And remember the car analogy. Don't just wax the engine. Learn to drive the road.
I want to leave you with a thought today that's a bit uncomfortable, but I think it's necessary. We talked about that blind spot.
The danger zone.
Think about your next promotion. You're probably working late, double-checking your spreadsheets, making sure your technical work is flawless. You're polishing that Ferrari. But I want you to ask yourself, is your promotion actually stalled because of your skills? Or is it stalled because of something everyone else in the office has been staring at for months, except you?
That's the million-dollar question.
Maybe it's time to buy a colleague a coffee and ask them what kind of driver you really are.
Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.